Imagine a world where your own blood turns against you, where the very people who should have shielded you are the ones holding the dagger. His mother, a woman of pure heart and noble spirit, was framed by the corrupt vultures of the Bayu Raya Palace. They stripped her of her dignity and cast her into the shadows of history. But they made one fatal mistake. They left her son alive, and they underestimated the fire that burns in the heart of a child who has lost everything. Yuda knew that if he showed his true strength too early, he would be crushed like an ant. So he chose a path that required more courage than any battlefield. He chose to look weak. He became a master of the spendthrift mask, pretending to be a fragile, unambitious soul who couldn't even defend himself against a common bully. He watched as his relatives laughed at his supposed incompetence. And he smiled back, all while mapping out their downfall in his mind. But to truly clear his mother's name, he needed more than just a plan. He needed a reputation that even the Bayu Raya Palace couldn't ignore. Leaving behind the home that hated him, Yuda traveled to the one place no sane person would go, the heart of the enemy kingdom. This was a land of warriors, a place where strength was the only law. It was here that the three princes, legendary figures of war, held absolute power. They were the pride of their nation, undefeated and arrogant. When Yuda arrived, he looked like a lamb walking into a den of lions. But as the challenges began, the world watched in stunned silence. One by one, the three princes fell. Yuda didn't just beat them. He dismantled their pride with a surgical precision that made it look like a dance. He wasn't just a fighter, he was a phenomenon. In the very land that was supposed to be his grave, Yuda became a national idol. His face was on every banner, and his name was a song of victory. It brought panic. The elders and the corrupt officials realized that the weakling they had discarded was now a titan. They knew that if he returned with the backing of an enemy nation, their days of luxury and lies were over. Instead of honoring him, the palace branded him a traitor and a threat. They used every ounce of their political power to hunt him down. This forced Yuda into his most dangerous move yet. He had to go back into hiding, not in a cave or a forest, but in plain sight. He returned to his kingdom, stripped away his glory, and enrolled as a simple freshman at the capital's most elite university, the very place where the children of his enemies spent their days. Now, imagine being a legend, a man who has humbled princes and led armies, and having to sit in a classroom while a spoiled rich kid mocks your clothes. This is where the story gets truly intense. At the university, Yuda was the perfect target for the campus bullies. To them, he was just a poor scholarship student with no background and no spine. They pushed him, they threw his books, and they tried to make his life a living hell. But Yuda's eyes never wavered. He took the insults with a terrifyingly calm smile. He wasn't being bullied. He was studying them. Every arrogant student was a window into their father's corruption. He was gathering the final pieces of evidence he needed to burn the Bayu Raya Palace to the ground. The beauty of Yuda's journey is the slow burn. It's in those small moments where his true self accidentally leaks out, only for them to wake up hours later with no memory of how a weak student moved so fast, or the time he corrected a professor on an ancient tactical theory that only the highest military commanders are supposed to know. People started to whisper. They started to wonder why this quiet freshman had the gaze of an emperor. The tension builds like a pressure cooker, and you find yourself shouting at the screen, waiting for the moment he finally drops the act. As the story unfolds, the secrets of the palace begin to bleed into the university walls. It was about a hidden treasure and the bloodline that the palace wanted to keep for themselves. While the other students are worried about grades and parties, Yuda is fighting a silent war at night, dismantling the palace's spy networks and protecting the few people who are actually kind to him. He becomes a guardian of the shadows, a ghost that haunts the dreams of the corrupt. The climax of this journey is nothing short of legendary. The mask doesn't just fall off. Yuda tears it off when the palace finally pushes him too far. When they target the one person who showed him warmth at the university, the sleeping dragon doesn't just wake up, it roars. The transition from the pathetic student to the national idol and heir to the throne is a moment of pure, unadulterated satisfaction. Seeing the terror in the eyes of his bullies as they realize them mocking a man who could end their families with a single phone call is the kind of justice we all crave. But Yuda's goal was never just power, it was the truth. He reveals the documents, the recorded confessions, and the sheer weight of his own accomplishments. He clears his mother's name, not by force, but by proving that her blood was the only noble thing left in that palace. This story is a roller coaster of emotions. It makes you feel the sting of injustice, the frustration of being underestimated, and the incredible high of a perfectly executed revenge. It's a reminder that the loudest person in the room is rarely the most powerful. True power is quiet. True power is patient, and true power, like Yuda's, is inevitable. As the dust settles, Yuda doesn't just take the throne. He changes what it means to lead. He remains the man who knows what it's like to be at the bottom. And that makes him the most dangerous and the most just ruler the kingdom has ever seen. If you're really looking for a story that combines the thrill of secret identities with the deep satisfaction of a long-awaited comeback, Yuda's Journey is exactly what you need. It has a masterpiece of suspense and character growth that will leave you thinking about it long after the credits roll. It's not just a drama. It has a lesson in how to win a war without ever firing a shot until it has time to end it.